Okay, so in this video, I will go over Chapter 1 demonstration, which is from the textbook. If you miss something in the video, please feel free to go ahead and use your pause control. You also can go ahead and use the slider to rewind and rewatch portions if for some reason I went too fast to, like, for example, row 11. And then A, B, C, D, so on and so forth, those are the columns. It's kind of like if any of you have ever played Battleship, it's kind of like that. All right. And let me move my chat window here just so I can see what's going on here. Okay. So for example, and in this file, each file in Excel is called a workbook. Okay. And again, a workbook, it can have multiple worksheets. And so you see here, it's kind of small, I know, but it says sheet 1. Okay, so you have multiple worksheets. Some of you have been working with this already, so you're familiar with that. Okay. Okay. And again, text is a combination of letters, numbers, symbols, and spaces. All right. Values are the numbers used as the basis for calculations. And then the date and time, they're entered in different ways. We use autofill, which is a feature that completes a sequence of words or values. Okay. Okay. And then a formula is used to perform a calculation. So for example, such as A1 equals, you always have to put the equal sign in front of a formula. So equals, and then A1, so that's a reference to whatever value number is in cell A1 plus 3. And so that would give you the answer. Again, just remember the order of operations. I know we've talked about that before. So that's, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So your parentheses, exponents, and in addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Okay. Again, those are the rules that tell you in what order your mathematical calculations will be performed in. And then just a note too, you will have the asterisk, which is the star, the asterisk, you use that for multiplication. The caret, you use that for dealing with exponents, okay? And then a semi-selection, you can select cell or ranges of cell as the formula is being built, okay? You'll see this when we get in on page, if you have your book, you can turn to page 413 and I'm actually gonna go over that again. I know most of you already, again, are past this point, and so when we get there, you're free to, but you can always, come back and do this. But I'll stop after I finish this PowerPoint. I'll stop and again ask any questions, and then we'll work on working on hands-on exercise for chapter 1. Just again, that way, then I have the video of it. So if anybody missed it, I can go ahead and post it. Just notice here again in your Excel window that you have the cell formula, and that's up here in the formula bar. You can type there, or you can type directly into the cell. But you notice here that this is equals C5 multiplied by 1 plus D5. And so then you notice then that the retail price then is $713.25. Okay. This comes right out of our hands-on activity. And again, you can see here when you click in the cell, you can see the formula also. And you see here that it highlights. So for example, C5, it's highlighted in blue. D5 is highlighted in red. Okay. And again, if you make a mistake, you can always go up here to insert, and you can insert your cells. You can insert a column, an entire row. You also can delete an entire column, row. And then you can hide and unhide as well. And then to adjust the column width, you just go up in between your mouse cursor changes to this, and then you just hold down the mouse button, and you can move either to the left or the right to either make the column smaller or to make it larger. Okay. So one of the things that they don't on here talk about, but when you see a row, and I'll just type in the chat and move the chat up. So when you see, for example, in a cell and you see something like this, a bunch of pound signs like that, what that means is that means that the column isn't wide enough in order to display the information. So you would have to go ahead and you can make the column wider to display it. The information is there regardless. So if you see that, the information's still there. It's just that there's not enough room for you to display it. Okay. And then we're familiar with this, with the cut, copy, paste, and then paste special, how that works. And so again, you can paste, and you can paste only the formulas. You can paste the values. All right. And then we know that we can go up to the cell styles. We can choose the different styles. All right. I know there's a couple of you working on the SLO assessment for Excel, and you'll notice that in the instructions for that, it asks for certain styles. You notice now that they're a little bit different, and that's okay. I realize that. Okay. But you see that there's different ones here. Makes it really easy to get exactly what you want. Okay. And then we see here that, for example, OK Office Systems, that is merged and centered. And so again, in order to do that, we can go up here and click on Merge and Center. And then you can fill with color. And so you do that through the paint bucket. And then you notice here that under electronics, you have computer systems, color, laser printer, and the 27-inch monitor. Those are indented text. And so in order to do that, under alignment, you have the buttons here to increase and decrease the indent. Okay. And then you notice that there's different number styles. And so those are accessed under number. And so you see general, which is like so, number, currency, so it has a dollar sign, and then the comma. Accounting has a dollar sign out here. And in the comma style, the percentage has the percent sign. Short date, which is the date like this, and then the long date like so. And then again, you can have multiple worksheets within a workbook. And so we see here in the example, we have September, October, November, December. That's something commonly that you might have. You might have a budget, and you might have a worksheet in there for each month. And so you see here, you notice that November is selected, and we can see that because it's shaded a little bit differently than the rest. And if we right click on the tab, you can delete the tab. Let me move the chat window out of the way so I can see. You could delete the tab. You can rename the tab, so you can rename it something else. You can move and copy it, or if you click on this little plus sign down here, you can add another sheet. Okay, so if you find that you need to add another sheet, you can do that there. All right. And then again, this is how we would move and copy. So we can select to move it to a different workbook entirely. And again, you can click on the arrow in order to select that. You can move it before, and then you can say which sheet, or move it to the end. You also can click here in order to go ahead and to move it to make a copy of it. So instead of moving the worksheet, you're just going to make a copy of it. Okay. And then one of the things you might want to do is there might be times when you want to adjust the orientation of your worksheet, or you want to change how things are. So you can click again under the page layout, under the margins, you can change the margin, which is how much space around the outside is left. You can click on orientation. You can change the orientation. Okay. So you can also go ahead and click on the orientation, and you can change that, either portrait or landscape. You can adjust the paper size. So let's say that you want you have a document, you want to print it maybe on legal size or ledger size paper, so it's larger. You can change that there. All right, and then you can change the scale as well. And again, this is what comes up. Whoops. Okay. And this is what comes up for you when you click on page setup. So again, allows you to make some of those settings as well. And again, change your margins. And in the header and footer, you can click custom header and footer, type what you need, or you can click and do that as well. And again, before you go to print, you can go to File, Print. Before you actually hit the print button, you can get a print preview, and you can see how that is. So again, just as a quick review, and is a workbook can consist of multiple worksheets divided into columns, rows, and cells. Cells can contain text, values, and formulas with contents entered. Remember that you can type, you can copy and paste, or you can use the autofill. And then you have columns, rows, and cells can be added, deleted, or copied and moved. And then styles, alignment, formatting can be applied to your cells, and then the formatting can be applied to numerical values. We showed you that. Worksheets can be inserted, deleted, renamed, and copied and moved. A worksheet can have orientation and margins changed, headers and footers added, scaling adjusted. And again, before printing, a worksheet can be previewed and final printing options are selected. And it's always a good idea to preview your work before you print it, just to make sure that it is how you want it. If you have your textbook, go ahead and open up to page 413 and open up where we left off. So I'm going to click on Open. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit Browse. Now, I've already downloaded the files from Canvas. If for some reason you haven't done that, you will need to do that. All right. And so they're up there. So I'm going to go to my desktop. And I have a folder in there called AOM30. So I'm going to double click on that. I have a folder called Excel. So Chapter 1. And I want us to open up the file called EO1H1 markup. So we'll go ahead and click on that. Okay. And then you notice here I have a yellow bar. It says, be careful, files from the internet can contain viruses. Unless you need to edit, it's safer to stay in protected view. Well, we know that this came from Canvas and it's safe for us to edit. So we're going to hit enable editing so we can go ahead and edit it. I just want to make sure, okay, I want to make sure that's the only thing open. So you see here that they have some things already for us. All right. So the first thing is in step, again, I'm on page 413. Apologize, my chair is squeaky. If you go to, so 413, step B, it says to click on cell A5. So again, this is column A. This is row 5, so A5. And it says to type in there computer systems. And press enter. Now you'll notice that it went over into the column for B, and that's okay for right now. And then I pressed enter, so it's going to go down to the next row. So it says to type in there color laser printer. In A6, so press enter. And then in step D, it says to continue typing the rest of the text in cells A7 to A10 as shown in the figure 1.8. All right, so filing cabinet. Oops. Okay. And let me zoom this in a little bit just to make it a little bit easier too, so you can see it a little bit better. Does that help a little bit? All right. So you'll type in those things there. So you entered the product labels to describe the data in each row. And then they want us to go ahead and save it. So I haven't saved mine yet. So I'm going to go up here, click on File, click on Save As. And again, I'm going to go ahead, since we opened it from there, and I'm going to go ahead and underscore my first name, my last name. So you'd save it however, again, with your first name and your last name. All right. And again, it says that you should develop the habit of saving periodically. This way, if your system unexpectedly shuts down, you don't lose anything. I know we've talked about that before. So like for me right now, obviously I'm working from a laptop computer. It is plugged in, but like if it was on battery, I would hate to lose this, or if for some reason the program crashes because it's doing, you know, a lot of things. Because obviously right now I'm doing video conferencing. I'm also working with you. So it's always a good idea to save your work. All right. So the next thing is click on cell B5. We'll type in 101, and then we'll hit Control and Enter on our keyboard. And again, just so that you note, you'll see that the name computer system, you'll see that that no longer overlaps into column B after you enter data into cell B5, excuse me. The data in A5 is not deleted. The rest of the label is hidden until you increase the column width, okay? And then position the pointer with the fill handle at the bottom of the cell. So you notice down here at the bottom, you have a dark green. So if I click on that, and if I notice that the mouse cursor changes to a plus sign, and then if I double click on it, notice what happens. Okay, so Excel copies 101 as the item number for the rest of the products. Excel stops inserting item numbers in column B when it detects that the last label in cell A10. So what I need to do is, if I go down here to the bottom right, I see here the autofill options. So if I click on that, on the arrow, you'll see that I have different fill options. And so what I want to do, I may not be able to do that. Let's see. Yeah, I think I messed up. So I may have to manually go in here and change it. But what you should be able to do is, if you click on that, you hit fill series, it should change accordingly. But I think I made a mistake, so we'll just, okay. And then we'll enter our cost. So if we go over here to cell C5, we can enter in there 400 for the computer system. Press enter, it's going to move us down, and then we can go ahead and type in the rest of the costs from the figure 411. I'm sorry, 111. All right. $5, $700, and $195. All right. And then for cell D5, which is right here, we're going to go ahead and enter in 0.5 for the markup rate as a decimal. And then we'll adjust this later. And then we'll go ahead and type in, again, from figure 1.11, we'll go ahead and type in the markup rate for each of these other items, okay? Okay. And it says then finally when we get to step D on 415, it says to go ahead and save our work. So we'll click on the save button to save our work. Okay. So what we'll do later in the next section, not right this second, is we'll go back and we'll do some mathematical calculations based on this. But if we go up here to cell A2, again, I'm on page 416, they want us to type in 9/1 and press enter. And you'll notice that it changed it to 1 September. And so then what I'll do is I'll click on A2, and then let me move the window out of the way. Again, so on the home tab and then under editing, you have clear. So we'll click on that and we'll go ahead and hit clear all. All right, so that deletes the formatting and the data that's there. And so then we'll go ahead and type in there 9/1/2018 and hit Control Enter. All right, and you'll notice then that it sets it, then it knows it then that that's a date. And then we'll go ahead and save our work. And then if you would, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to go ahead and turn over to page 422. All right. And then, so the first thing in step A it calls for is that they would like for us to go ahead and resave this. So I'll go up here to File, and I'll go to Save As. And again, and this time we're going to call it E01H2. Markup, and then again, your first name and last name. All right. So I've gone ahead and I've resaved it. And so then they want us to go ahead and click on cell E5. So E5 right here. And in cell E5, that's going to be the cell where you're going to enter the formula to calculate the retail selling price of an item. All right. So we'll type in the equal sign. And again, remember that anytime that you are starting a formula, you have to type in the equal sign. So C5. So that is our cost for the computer system. So C5. And then we'll put in the asterisk, which is up here at the top of the 8. So you can hit Shift and then 8. And then open parenthesis, 1 plus D5. And then close the parenthesis. And again, you see here that the cells are color-coded as to what cells are being involved there. And so again, as you build or edit the formula, each cell address in the formula displays a specific color. And while you type or edit the formula, the cell reference in the cell have a temporary colored border. And so we see that. And it says that you enclose the 1 plus D5 in parentheses to control the order of operations, so that the 1 is added to the value in cell D5, which is 0.5. The result is 1.5, which represents 150% of the cost. That result is then multiplied by the value in C5, which is the 400. And if you didn't use the parentheses, cell would multiply the value in C5 by 1, which would be 400, and the result value in D5 of 0.5 result would be 100, would be 400.5, which would have given you the incorrect results. All right. So you can press either Enter on your keyboard, or you can go up to the top and press Enter on the which is a check mark in the formula bar. You notice then that our retail selling price for the computer would be $600. All right. So that's step D. And then for step E, they want us to position the pointer on the fill handle while the pointer changes to a white plus sign. Then double click. So right here in a double click, you'll notice then that it copies. So then if I click on the cell E6, if you look in the formula bar, you'll notice then that it adapted to to row 6. So if you go here, you notice that this is for row 5. You notice here that this is for row 6. All right. And so now we'll build another formula, but we're going to, instead of typing in cell references, we'll just go ahead and click on them. All right. So if you flip on over to page 424, and so if you click on G5, we'll go ahead and type in the equal sign, and then we'll click on E5, which is the retail price, and then we'll type in the asterisk if we want to multiply, and then we'll type on click on F5, and again you'll notice the color shading there, and then we'll hit Control Enter on the keyboard. Oh, hold on, I skipped something. Pardon. Yeah, so it should be E5, it should be equals E5, and then type in the minus, click on E5 again, and then multiply by F5. So then the sell price should be 510. I knew that didn't look right. All right, and then we can do the same thing down here for G5. So if we do equals, and then we can just go ahead and type in E5 minus, and then open the parenthesis, E5 times F5. Actually, it should be in that same cell. Let me move this up. So you could do it either way. You could do it either way, all right? And so then if we double click on the fill handle, then it'll copy it down accordingly, all right? And again, if I click on G6, you'll notice then that it's, instead of E5, it's E6, all right? And then finally, we'll figure out what our profit margin is. So if you flip over in your book to page 425, so we'll click on cell H5. We'll go ahead and type in there the equal sign, and then open parenthesis, G5 minus C5, and then divided that by G5. All right. And again, it doesn't matter if you have the letters capital or not. Either way is fine. Let me see. All right. And let me see here. Let me get the chat because it looks like my chat box disappeared. All right. So if I click, then you'll notice that I get the profit margin. You notice that it has a lot of extra numbers here. We'll address that in a little while. All right. And so then they want us to go ahead and double click on the fill handle. And then if I click on H6, you'll notice then that it is accordingly. Okay. Because what happens is Excel figures out that there's a pattern to what it is that you're trying to do, and then it will go ahead and work accordingly. All right. And so then what we'll do is we'll go down here to step A on the second half, or step 4 on page 425. So we'll go ahead and click on cell C5, and then we'll go ahead and we'll change the price. So our cost of the computer system went up. So we'll change it to 475.5. You'll notice then that the result of the retail price, the sales price, and the profit margin formulas change based on that new cost. And then we'll go ahead and we'll go to D6. And we'll go ahead and change our markup percentage for the color laser printer to 0.755. And then likewise, you'll notice then that everything changes based on that. And so that's one of the things, the real power of Excel is that you're able to, if you have your formula set correctly, you can change one variable and then everything else will go ahead and change accordingly. All right. And then we'll go to cell F7, which is our percent off for the filing cabinet. We'll type in there 0.05. And then we'll hit Control Enter because we want to stay there. You'll notice that updates as well. Okay. Okay, so then it says to press Control, step D on page 426, it says to press Control plus the accent, the grave accent mark. So the grave accent mark, it is right underneath, it should be right underneath the escape key on your keyboard. All right, so Control and then that. Notice then what'll happen, let me move this. You'll notice then that displays your actual formulas. All right, so that makes it easy for you. You can check what you're doing. All right, and then it says to save the workbook. So we'll go up here and hit the save button. All right, and so then you can go ahead and open up your textbook to page 438. All right. And then again, they want us to go ahead and resave it again. So we'll go up here to File and to Save As. And then I want it there. So instead of EO1H2, we're going to go ahead and change that to H3. And then we'll click Save. All right. And then what I want to do is go ahead and click on in fact, I'm going to go ahead and hit Control and the grave accent again to get us back to the values. Okay, so this is the values display. So when they talk about that, this is displaying the values. And then when you hit Control and the accent, the grave accent, that shows you the formulas. Okay, but we'll just go back to that. And then we'll click on H5. And we realized, oh, darn, you know, we forgot we need another column. So we have to go ahead and insert another column. So we'll go ahead and do that. And so in order to do that, we'll go up here under the Home tab. And then you notice, let me move actually, I'm going to make this smaller too. You'll see under Cells Insert, so we'll click on the Insert arrow, which is the arrow here. And you see here, it says Insert Sheet Columns. So we'll click on that. And so that will give us another column. And so then in H4, what we'll do is we'll type in there profit amount. Okay. Again, you'll notice just for conversation, you notice that there isn't enough room right now to display profit amount all the way. So if I click on it and I look up here in the formula bar, I can see that. All right. So know that the entire thing is there, even though you're not able to see it at this moment. Okay. And so we'll go ahead and click on, and we're doing step E. So we'll click in cell H5, we'll type in there equals G5 minus C5. And then we'll press enter. So that gives us that our profit is $130.76. We'll double click on the fill handle, and then that copies it down for the rest of the items. And then in step F, we realize, okay, we have all of this, it's good, but we realize that we need to, we want to categorize. If I go back and I move this, we realize we want to categorize this a little bit different. All right. So if I right click on the row 5 heading, so this is row 5, the heading would be this gray right here. So if I click on, right click with the mouse, and I click on insert, that's going to give me another row. So we inserted a blank row 5. The original rows of data then move down. So then I'll click in the new A5 and I'll type in the word electronics. And then I'll press Control and Enter because I want to set that, but I want to go ahead and stay in that same cell. And then I can go up with my mouse. I can click on under Home and under the font, the B, that makes it bold because I need it bold. And then I'm going to go over here and do the same thing for row 8. So I'm going to right click on the row 8 heading and then click Insert. So that makes another row. And then we'll type in the word furniture. Notice what it did there when I typed, and I misspelled it, hold on. Notice what it did there though, when I typed in the F, it thought that I wanted to type in filing cabinet. So again, Excel is really good about predicting what I want, okay? But I want that, so then I'll hit Control Enter. And then I'll likewise go up here and make that bold. All right, and so then, okay, we've done that. So now we're going to make some more changes. And so I'm over here on page 436. So we're going to go ahead and click in cell A9. That contains a filing cabinet. And so what I want to do now is under the cells group, again, home and then cells, we're going to hit delete. We're going to go ahead and delete the sheet row because we now no longer sell the filing cabinet. All right, so that, you see then that deletes that. And then everything else then moves on up. And then under the format, under cells, we see here that, let's click on go and select the entire column for B, which is the code. So what we can do is we can select that, and then if we go up here under cells, we can go ahead and under hide, unhide, we can hide the column. Notice that it's still there, and you see the A and it jumps to C, but notice that there still is this little thing here. So it's still there, it's just hidden from our view. So they want us to go ahead and save our workbook. All right, and then you can go ahead and flip on over to page 440. So we want to adjust the column width and the row height. So we're going to point to the right border of column A. So this is what I showed you when we were going over the PowerPoint. This is what I had showed you. So when you click on the border, you see that the mouse cursor changes. It allows you to adjust the width. And so they want us to go ahead and change it to 23. And let me change this back to 100 because that would probably change to what, how this is. So if I change it, you notice there's a little white tooltip that comes up. And if I make this to 23.00, or 166 pixels. All right, so if I release my mouse, then it changes that. All right. And then we'll go ahead and click on cell A1, and then we'll go over here again under Home, Cells, Format, and then we'll go over here to the row height. We'll click on that. This other little box pops up, and it asks us to enter in a numerical value for the row height. So we're going to type in there 30, and then click OK. And then we can go ahead and save the workbook. So we've increased the height of the row that contains the worksheet's title so that it's a little bit more prominent. All right. And so then we'll go over to page 441. We'll right click on the row 8 heading, and then we'll click on Insert. And so that gives us a new row. Then we'll choose the range A12 to I12. So then it would be all of this. So A12 is the 27-inch monitor. I12 goes all the way out to the profit margin. All right. So then we'll go up here under Home, and then we have the clipboard group. We'll click on Cut, which is the scissors. All right. You'll notice that there's a moving dashed green border. Again, that displays. And then down here at the very bottom, it says to select a destination and press Enter or choose Paste. So what we can do then is go up here to cell A8, and then we can go ahead and press Paste. All right. So now the 27-inch monitor product data is now located in row 8. All right. Go ahead and flip on over to page 442. All right, so they want us now to copy and paste a range. So we'll go ahead and select A10. And so again, this is 442 step A. We'll go ahead and select A10 to I10, which is the desk chair. And then we'll hit copy, which is this button right here, copy. And then we'll click on A12. And then we'll go ahead and hit paste. So desk chair. So we sell two different kinds of desk chairs, a standard desk chair and what they call an executive desk chair. So we'll go ahead and click in cell A12. We'll press the F2 button. And if you're on a laptop, you might have to hit Function F2 in order to activate that. I know I did, because when I hit F2, it wants to adjust the volume. I don't want to do that. So Function F2, which is FN on your keyboard if you need to do that. That allows you to go into the edit mode, but of course you could always click up here as well. I'll press the home button on my keyboard, which again might be Function and then home. Because for me on this laptop, it's a Lenovo laptop. The home button is down by the arrows, okay? Which again, you can always click up here to get to the beginning of desk. So we'll go ahead and type in the word executive, and then hit the space bar, and then hit enter, and that sets it. All right. And then we can change the value in cell C12 to 200. So we'll go up here to C12. Our cost then is 200. All right. So we're going to flip on over to page 443. So then we'll go ahead and click on cell A1. We're going to make some edits here. So we want to change the font size to 14. So we'll click on A1 and then we'll go up here under font. We'll change that to 14. And then we'll click make it bold. And then we'll click on the font color. We'll go ahead and change that to gold accent 4 darker 50%, which I believe is this one. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and click on the range A1 to I12, which is this entire thing. And then we'll hit copy. And then we'll click on A15. And this time what we're going to do is we're not going to click on the paste button. We're going to click on the arrow. And then we're going to go to formulas, which is right here. And then without clicking a command, Excel shows a preview of what that option would do. The pasted copy would not contain the font formatting that we just applied to the title, or the bold for the two category names, the furniture or the electronics. In addition, the pasted date would appear as the serial number, but note that the formulas are maintained. So then if we position our mouse over the values and source formatting, so of the values group. So this is the values, and so this is the values and formatting, number formatting. Notice that this option preserves the formatting, but and source formatting. Notice that it does that, but that it converts the formulas into just being the results. So we'll go ahead and click on values and source formatting. Okay. And we'll click on H6. And then notice that we can see the formula up here in the formula bar. Okay. But if we click on H20, notice that because it's not, the formula isn't saved, only the value is. When you use that type of a paste, notice then it just shows just the value. Okay, and then we can go ahead and save our work. You can go ahead and flip on over to page 450. All right. So then they want us to go ahead and resave it. So we'll go up here to File and Save As, and we'll go ahead and resave it to EO1H4. All right. And so then what we're going to do right now is we're going to go ahead and select the range A15 to I26, which is what that we pasted in here earlier. We'll hit the delete button on our keyboard, so that deletes it. Because we now no longer need it. So now in step C, it says to select the range A1 to I1, which is right here. Select that. And then we'll click on cell styles. Notice that you have the different cell styles. So we'll click on heading 1. And then what we need to do in step D, it says to merge and center. So again, under the home, under the alignment section, you have merge and center. So we'll go ahead and merge and center that. Excel merges the cells A1 to I1 into one cell and then centers the text horizontally. All right. And then we'll go ahead and select A2 to I2, which is the date. And then we'll do the same thing. We'll go up here and select merge and center, and then we'll save our work. All right. So now then what I need you to do is, I'm on page 451, is I need you to select the range A4 to I4. And again, under the alignment group, you have wrap text right here. So we'll click on that. And then we'll go ahead and click center. And then we'll go over here and click on A1. And then under the alignment group, you have the middle align right here. So we'll click on that. All right. So now then what we need to do is to go ahead and select the range A6 to A8. Which are the computer system, color laser printer, and a 27-inch monitor. And then we'll go up here under the alignment and we'll go ahead and increase the indent. We'll hit that twice. And then we'll select the range of A10 through A12. And then we'll go ahead and hit the increase indent twice. All right. So we've done that. Now you'll notice that down here, you'll notice that a couple of these are cut off now or look to be cut off. So we need to increase the width of column A to 26.00. So we'll go up here. Notice the mouse cursor changes, and then we'll just drag it to 26.00. And we'll save our workbook. All right. And then now we're going to go ahead and adjust some of the fill. So we'll select A4 to I4, which are our column titles right here. And then we'll click on the paint bucket because that adjusts our fill. And so we'll choose blue accent 1 lighter 80%. And then we'll go ahead and we'll want to, so now you've applied the fill color to the selected cells to draw attention to those cells. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and select the range F4 to G12. So F4, which is right here, to G12. So it's all of that. Then we'll click on the borders arrow, which is right here. This is the borders. We're going to click on the arrow. We're going to do a thick outside borders. And so then if I click on an empty cell, you'll see then that changes accordingly, and then we'll go ahead and hit the save button to save our work. All right. So the next thing is we're going to go ahead and do is select the range of C6 to C12. We need to hold down the control key on our keyboard, and then we'll select the range E6 to E12. And then G6 to H12. And then we'll go up here and we'll choose the accounting number format, which is the one here with the $sign. We'll go ahead and choose that. And then what I want to do is to go ahead and click elsewhere. So just click outside of that in the white, in a blank cell. And then click the percent. So go ahead and choose D6 to D12, and then choose the percent style, which is the one right here. And then increase decimal. So this button right here under numbers, that it increases the decimal. All right. And then we'll go ahead and choose the range I6 to I12, which is right here, our profit margin. We'll go ahead and choose the percent sign, and then we'll go ahead and increase our decimal. All right, go ahead and flip on over to 454. So then we'll go ahead and select the range. I'm on step F. Select the range F6 to F12. And then we'll go up here and choose right align. And then we'll increase the indent twice. And then we'll go ahead and select the range I6 to I12, right align, and then increase the indent there twice. And then we'll go ahead and save our work. All right. And so then what we'll do is we'll flip on over to page 465. And then we'll go ahead and resave. So we'll go up here to File, Save As. And I believe this is our last section for the demonstration. We still have one more step though. So we'll change this to E01H5. And then we'll hit Save. And so this time we're learning about worksheets, the page setup, and printing. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll right click on the Sheet 1 tab, and then we'll go up here to Move and Copy. And we want to go ahead and click the Create a Copy. And then we'll click OK. So what we did is we just duplicated our worksheet. So we'll go ahead and select the Sheet 1 and then the 2 in parentheses Worksheet tab. We'll move it to the right of Sheet 1. And then we will right click. We want to change the name of this. So we'll right click on the Sheet 1 with the 2, or the main Sheet 1 tab, excuse me. We'll right click that and we'll go over here to rename, and we'll type in there September. Okay, and then press enter. And then we'll go ahead and rename Sheet 1 with the number 2, right click, rename. We'll go ahead and type that one Formulas. All right. So we renamed both of those sheets. So go ahead and flip on over to to 466. So we'll go ahead and hit Control and then the grave accent again to adjust these on the Formulas worksheet. And then we'll go ahead and change the column widths. So for column A, we'll go ahead and change this to 13.00. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and select both C and D and set both of them to 6. See how I did that? I selected both of them and then okay. And then D, so E, and I can hold down the control key to choose G and H. We can make both of those 7. And then column F, we can go ahead and make that 5. So we've done that. We've reduced the column width just to make everything look a little bit better on the page. And then we can go ahead and save our workbook. And so now we're working on step 2 on page 466. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and click on our September tab, sheet tab, hold down the control key on the keyboard, oops, and then click on our formulas tab. So both worksheets, they're both active and they're both grouped together. And if you notice up here in the top, in the title bar, you see the word group. So that means that those worksheets are grouped together. So then if we go to the page layout tab in the ribbon, remember that this top piece here is called the ribbon. All right. So if we click on orientation, we can go ahead and choose landscape. And then we can go to margins and then go down here to custom margins. And it's going to go ahead and bring this up. And for the top margin, we're going to go ahead and change that to 1 inch. So we'll change that to 1. And remember that because both of these sheets are grouped together, it's going to do that for both of them. All right. And then we'll check to center it horizontally on the page. And then we can click on the page tab within page setup. And then we can click fit to, and then we can go ahead and leave it to be 1 page wide to 1 page tall. So what that does is that makes it so that everything fits on one sheet of paper. And then we can go ahead and click OK. And then we can go ahead and hit the save button. So we still want both of these worksheets to be grouped. So we'll go up here to the Insert tab. And then we'll go over here to, let me move this out of the way. So you see here under text, if you click on that and you notice that there's some options here, you might have header and footer here. But if not, under Insert, Text, and then Header Footer, that allows you to type in your header footer. And so we can click in the left section of the header, which is right here. And then we can type in your name. So I'll type in there my name. And then we'll go over here to the middle section. And then we'll go up here under the header footer elements. We'll go ahead and choose sheet name. Notice it says and then tab. That's a code. It'll insert it automatically what the sheet name is for us. And then we'll go to the right section and then we'll type in there the file name. And so it inserts an and then file to tell us that that'll insert the file name. All right, so we can go ahead and click on any cell in the worksheet. And you notice then that it populates automatically for us. And let me move the zoom, make this smaller here. There we go. All right. So then if we go back to the normal view, which down here at the bottom, you have the normal view, the print layout view, and the page preview. But we want the normal view. And and go ahead and flip on over to page 468. We can click on the review tab, and then we can click on the button here, spelling, to check our spelling. It asks, do we want to continue checking at the beginning of the sheet? We can click yes. And then if you did have any spelling mistakes, you could go ahead and correct those. Otherwise, you can go ahead and click OK. All right. Again, it's always a good idea to check our spelling of a workbook before we go ahead and publish it. Now, I don't want you to actually print this, but you can follow along with me in order to understand, how you would set things up. All right. And get an idea of the print preview. So we'll click on the File tab, and then we'll go ahead and hit Print. And then you'll notice that the Microsoft Office Backstage view displays the print options and a preview of your worksheet. So let me let me minimize the group chat. So you see right here, this is when I'm circling my mouse, this is a preview gives you an idea of what this would look like if I was to hit print. Then what it would look like. And then you notice down here there's arrows. So if I click on next, you see that it's going to give me a preview of what it would look like. So you see in this case, for me, it would print out 3 pages. All right. And so then if let me see, can I move that up? Okay, so you see here, it gives you an idea of what it looks like, okay? Then we're not gonna actually print it, so if I click on the back arrow, it takes me back to the document. And then we can go ahead and save our file. And then we can go ahead if you're finished, then what you can do is you can go back to Canvas and you can go ahead and turn it in.